Now, every year at Congregation, UBC has the honor of bestowing honorary degrees upon individuals who, in the opinion of the university community, fit the criteria of excellence and eminence in their chosen fields. David Morley is one of those individuals, and I invite him to step forward to receive his honorary degree. Mr. Chancellor, David Morley has dedicated over 4 decades to humanitarian work, international development, and promoting children's rights. His passion and commitment are exemplified in his strong leadership of notable development institutions and aid agencies that have generated positive impact for children and communities in Canada and around the world. His considerable skills in advocacy, diplomacy, and resource generation have fostered strong partnerships with nonprofit organizations, the private sector, individual philanthropists, and governments. His wide-ranging capabilities served him well as Executive Director of Doctors Without Borders Canada from 1998 until 2005, during which time he contributed meaningfully to the organization's 1999 Nobel Peace Prize. At his core, he is a champion for the universality of the UN's Convention of the Rights of the Child, the most ratified human rights treaty in the world. Even before the Sustainable Development Goals stated the need to reduce inequality within and among countries, David Morley was already defending the cause of the poorest and most vulnerable children all over the world, including here in Canada. As the executive lead of UNICEF Canada for the past 12 years, he has successfully mobilized and attracted a growing number of Canadians to invest in the education, health, and well-being of children most in need around the world. We are proud to note that he obtained a Master of Education degree from UBC in 2008 and has been increasingly involved in educating and inspiring young people to become future leaders in humanitarian work. His numerous distinctions include his appointment to the Order of Canada in 2018 and the UBC Alumni Achievement Award for Global Citizenship in 2019. Mr. Chancellor, in recognition of his extraordinary record of international humanitarianism, visionary leadership, and focused wisdom, I ask you to confer the degree Doctor of Laws honoris causa upon David Morley.
By the authority of the Senate of this university, I confer upon you, David Morley, the title and degree Doctor of Laws honorary causa.
gives me great pleasure to now ask Dr. Morley to say a few words.
Thank you. I am almost speechless at this honor. The last time I was here in the Chan Center was when, like you, I was getting ready to walk across the stage to receive my master's in education. And to say that I'm grateful to be back is a great understatement. Thank you to Dr. Buzzard, to Chancellor Point for this great honor. And being here today makes me think back to my first graduation when I was an undergraduate. I had a history degree, which was wonderful. But I was living in a basement apartment where the view out of the dirty window was of the undercarriage of parked cars. I could not see the sky. I was unemployed, and my job search was not going well. My parents were worried. So I turned to a family friend who'd been a mentor to me. He was a human rights activist, and I thought maybe he could help me get a job. David, he said, you have your life ahead of you to go and work in an office downtown. You need to look further afield. And his advice? To volunteer at a little project he knew that was helping street children in Costa Rica. So I went, and that made all the difference. I'd expected to find children whose spirit had been squeezed out of them because of the hardships they had faced in Dickensian orphanages or living on the streets. But instead I found lively, smart, wise children who captured my heart. They were children like Giovanni. Before I met him, Giovanni had cared for Marco and Maria, his younger brother and sister, on the city streets of San Jose, begging, scrounging, doing whatever it took to keep his family alive. Giovanni taught me how to pick pockets. We'd be doing some extra homework, or he'd be doing some artwork. We'd be sitting next to each other, and suddenly my wallet would be in his hand. David, he would chide me. You've got to keep a better eye on your things. You never know who you're going to run into around here. Giovanni tried to get my skill level up to his, but my fingers were never as nimble. But of course, I'd never had to steal to survive. One day I asked him, hey, what was it like to sleep on the streets? This time, he didn't laugh. He didn't smile. His voice grew hard. David, I did not sleep on the streets, and Maria and Marco didn't either. Every night, I'd go to the garbage and I'd find newspapers. I'd spread those papers out on a bench as our sheets. The bed was our bench, the papers were our sheets, because nobody could ever say that I couldn't give my brother and sister a bed when they really needed one. Nobody. We never slept on the streets, and you must never say we did. Those newspapers, that bench, that was how Giovanni was able to hang on to some dignity as he kept his family alive. You know, we say children are resilient, and that's true. But I began to wonder why in a world where there's enough for everyone, why must any child have to live in such horrible circumstances that they're supposed to display such resilience? This is the height of injustice. Giovanni became a touchstone for me. All I wanted to do with my life was to help children like him. And as time went by, I was fortunate enough to work with people who had the same goal, of changing the world for the better. And the world has changed. Make no mistake. The global child mortality rate has dropped by 2/3 since I first met Giovanni. By 2020, fewer children were dying from preventable causes than at any time in human history. The proportion of undernourished children is half of what it was in 1990. By 2020, more children were in school than at any time in human history. We have lived, those of us who are of my age, we have lived through a child survival revolution, and we never hear about it. Probably because bad news travels so much faster than good. And Giovanni? Today, Giovanni is a father and a grandfather, and last year, he fulfilled a lifelong dream and graduated at a ceremony a lot like this one with a law degree from the University of Costa Rica. Marco runs his own small business in the town of Paraíso, and Maria, well, just last Sunday, she posted a photo of her 4 granddaughters on Facebook. I've told you about one boy and how he inspired me to be a small part of a global revolution. We know that the world needs positive change in education, in healthcare, in social justice, in the environment, and more. And what I wish for each one of you is that you will find your Giovanni and discover the revolution that needs you, where you can use the skills and tools you've gained here at UBC, and where you can contribute with all your mind and participate with all your heart. Thank you.